My dog found the dog toy. Never does that sound ever.
First time. First time ever. All right. I'm waiting until I see the live thing on my IG to see, because that's when I usually know. All right.
It's up and running.
We are good go.
Welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome in. Yeah.
I like this one.
Welcome in. Yeah. Yeah. Welcome in. Pull a seat. Scuffed up kicks. Brains on beat.
This is good. This is a nice one.
Welcome to the lounge where the cold's on wine. This the AI lounge for the builders only.
I have to do
Coffee
that.
on the desk, spreadsheet only. Got a dream in the notebook, stains on the page. Turn the side hustle spark to a paid up stage. Talk tools, talk play, talk scale, talk pain.
All right.
Boom
Wow.
Type of music.
Huh?
It says boom bap is the type of music that was.
I can get with the boom bap. Hold on. I'm like not used to sharing, so I'm like, oh wow, how do I get this thing out of here now? Anyways, what's up, guys? How's everybody doing? We're back
Back again. Another Wednesday, another week.
again.
And it feels like everything in the AI space, at least, changes every week. Anthropic's dropped a bunch of stuff, but yeah, how are things going for you, dude?
Good, man. I'm interested to see your take, especially with the new Chat GPT. Now that you've played with it more, but we'll talk about that. These are good. Rolling, man. You know, today or this week is quiet for the most part. A lot of it's like getting things lined up for like contracts that we have working right now, partnerships, to include ours with you, and then a lot of great movement on where things are going, especially from the studio standpoint.
Amazing.
So I'm pretty excited about that. Plus, you know, we've been talking about how we're going to potentially bring this to the masses in a more formalized fashion, but in person, virtually, whatever. We haven't decided yet, guys, but look out for that. But you know, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be fun. So.
Usually.
It usually is, you know. Net got cleared to put mild pressure on her foot, so now she's a damn walking storm around the house.
Does she use AI at all for her, like asking questions about her foot, or like?
She did, yeah. When she first found out about the whole thing, she asked it a gajillion questions and was like, "What's the, what's the time going to be to heal? What's the potential procedures? Like, how does this look?" I mean, if there's anyone who uses like the picture function of ChatGPT, it's her.
Oh yeah, what did she? I think you showed last time, like children's books. Was that you?
Yeah, the comic. Oh yeah, dude. I'm telling you, she just made. Yeah, she's big on like cartooning and turning our pictures into like cartoons / like Asian pictures, because we're like half Korean now in this house at this point.
I was just thinking, my wife showed me this morning that she used ChatGPT to generate like a life vision board for us and printed it out, and I was like, I don't get any say on this. And she's like, no, look, and so it has like what she envisions for our life. All of that stuff. But it was actually really well done. And then she was like explaining to me like, oh, it kept like AI generating images for us, and then she got walked through like how to go to Canva, and then like it left empty spaces for her to bring in the right photo of us, because and that's stuff that I don't think typically knows how to do ever. It was like her first time like being able to pull that off. She's very proud.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, it's pretty. I mean, I don't use the photo stuff as much. I probably should use it more, but yeah, Net uses the hell out of it in the house and makes all these. She's made like 4 more comic strips since that last one I showed you.
Yeah,
and it's always funny.
In our child's room, my wife also generated like images of our dogs. Like one's flying a plane and one's going around. And the funny thing is that the dog is blind, and it's a pug, and it's driving around. And it says "See America," which her dad came over and was like laughing, and he's like, "That's so funny because she's blind." And I was like, "Oh shit, I didn't even realize that."
I didn't even
Oh man.
realize it. Well, what can
Yeah.
you do?
I mean, I guess things are becoming easier to be more creative now with AI, especially with the new ChatGPT image model that just came out. And I've been seeing more and more people like utilizing that in their workflows,
Yeah.
and seeing the YouTubers come out with it, and how you can do transition from a image that you generate in ChatGPT now to something like a video model where you can generate like the first frame and the last frame,
Yeah.
and bring those together. And usually that was, most workflows included using Nano Banana Pro for that, because that was the best one up until, I haven't really seen it much of a side-by-side comparison yet of the two. But
Okay.
creativity is it's on the rise with LLMs now, or AI models, and like that intro, right? Generated song that we both liked. I mean, it was kind of nice.
Yeah, that's what I'm enjoying, like watching people get more creative with this stuff. It's funny, like a friend of mine, she took an AI class with like a big creator, and so she's been posting like the videos that she's making with it, and so it's like, and it's cool though because she's older, she's like already retired, like I think she's probably late 50s, early 60s, but now she's totally embracing AI and like making these videos, and it's helping her like spread the message about her nonprofit. So
Mhm.
but it's pretty cool.
That is cool. I mean, there's also a lot of people out there who are kind of like the anti-AI on those things, and they're thinking it's kind of ruining the craft, which I could relate for a lot of that. But at the same time, you're enabling people who could never create anything to become creators. Which I don't know. It's always the good with the bad with AI, but I enjoy it. I like getting in there. I have to produce a sizzle for a project that we're working on, like a
Mhm.
sizzle video about it for a meeting tomorrow. So I'm could be using Higgs Field later on tonight and kind of try to
Oh yeah.
generate something for a meeting that's tomorrow at noon. See if that goes off. It's a bonus. Doesn't need it, but it's requested. So
Hayfields is cool. The only sucks that you have to pay API prices.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
I've
if you
just
want to connect it that way. Otherwise, you can just ask Claude for description to then feed to it.
Yeah. And also, I mean, I bought credits, so then I've been watching tutorials to make sure that I can get the most out of those credits. 'Cause I've used a lot of those tools, but not inside of like
Yeah.
Higgsfield yet. I wanted to give that one a shot since it combines them all together. The last one I
Yeah.
tried sucked. I forget which one I used, but I did another like mega tool like that had everything together, and it just did not produce good results. And then you're like out of tokens so quick.
Yeah. And then you're like, I just wasted all this money for no reason.
In time. Yeah. But it's fun. I mean, it's not like you know, it's not super discouraging. I mean, it can be a little discouraging sometimes when you don't get what you want out of those, but it is really fun to kind of play around with those things. And what'd you click on there? Oh, the
Oh,
screen.
don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I'm messing with the comment section. You're good. And I just threw you off.
Yeah. I also used AI to redline a contract, which was interesting. I had a contract sent to me that had a lot of issues in it, and it's funny being able to like find all those things. It's not your job to find and correct them. And if I've got a few examples of people in our community who are using it to like solve contract problems that they're having either at work or in personal life, and finding issues inside of these like large contracts that other people whose job it is to catch those aren't catching them, which is another like paradigm shift where I'm almost like, do I trust the AI more than I trust the person to go through this? Like, what, or do I need both? I don't know.
Yeah. I'd say it's probably a combination of both. I mean, even today, we actually found out, like, I had AI help me write a contract, and there was one singular word that it didn't put in the contract that I know that I asked it to do, but it didn't.
Mm.
And so I had to go back and be like, oh, well, this is what, and they're like, well, that's not what the contract says. And I'm like, well, that's what the contract's supposed to say. I'm gonna, well, I was like, technically I'm gonna honor this contract because that's what we have that signed, but I am gonna send you an amendment based off what we just talked about. And they were like, all right, that's fine. And the word was net, net revenue versus revenue.
That is a very important distinction. Yes.
And it's not a big deal, right? Like it's nobody's fault, right? I mean, well, correction, it's my fault because I didn't like, I had gone through previous versions and I had found a version I liked and was like, all right, let's go forward with it. And I didn't check that final one before everybody signed. And so, like I said, like I'll honor what it is we have in place at this moment. But I had to explain to the person, like, hey, based off of like this is why this is such a big deal. Like the net versus just the gross revenue. And they were like, no, that makes sense. And I was like, all right, cool.
So Taron's out
you're
there
from the golf course.
Yeah.
Oh, Marcus is here too. So Marcus is joining us on Instagram, which is why you can't see his comments. But he said, "What up, gentlemen? Just checking in while making dinner for the fam." Oh, by the way, we missed you the other day, Marcus. Yesterday at the recording. He said, "Business." I asked Marcus. I said, "How are you using AI?" And he said, "Business planning, converting file types." Endless ideas. Had spent 2 hours getting my contract just right. Also generated a whole automated pricing planner with sliders within Claude that once the info is input, it pre-prints the contract. Very nice.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. So Marcus, for that, is that something that you give to your client as in like an a la carte thing, like as they select stuff, or is that something where like after you've spoken with the client, you guys have decided on the services, you just go in, click the sliders, and then the contract is defaulted to what's included?
Good question. You could do that either way. Depends on how you.
No, you could. Yeah, I mean that's what I did. I mean I told Claude like, hey, let's build like a general contract, and then you'll always use this to kind of build the rest of the contracts.
Yeah, we have a contract template, but I like his he's integrating something, it's a generator at that point with some variables that are getting swapped around. And then I imagine that's probably scripted rather than like feeding it back into an agent. But yours, I think if you're saying that you're generating a contract every time and using Claude to generate that, you're going to have the impact of like that non-deterministic nature of an LLM, which is not going to inherently do it the same every time. And with like legalese, you probably want something more like what he's produced so that it is, you won't have that problem of net not showing up, it'll generate from a script or, template rather than a prompt to generate the thing.
Well, mine runs into that the way that I don't have a template for contracts. That's the problem. And then when I say problem, that means a lot of the contracts that I work with, they differ in certain aspects. So I can't do like a slider type deal. That's why I kind of have like an idea of what it wants. And I have it rerun itself. Like, hey, run yourself against California law and all that.
You could do like modular blocks to it. Like if you have like certain projects that you're doing and if and when, so just kind of maybe a policy or rule system that like, if the project includes this, include these clauses. If the project doesn't include this, include, however you want to go about doing that.
That's a good one.
I mean, I was catching problems in the contract that was sent over to me that was clearly not done by a human. Clearly was done by a human, not done by an AI. It was, certain things of like the warrant, the cancellation, so that he will cancel the contract was like just for easy numbers here. Let's say it was a 60-day to cancel the contract, but the project is going to be done in 30 days or something, right? So like, how can we actually have that? So like fixing those problems in there.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. The problem that I actually had is I sent the red lines over to the client, and it was an issue with like the way that Claude was working with it I was using Claude Desktop, which again I don't normally use, but I thought for like document creation it would be a good use. It put it up into Google Drive, and then instead of every single time I was asking for changes, it was actually creating a new document. But and so then when I went and clicked on, there's a little button that was like, it gave me the like first URL that I got, and I sent that. I was like, here you go, share that, and then I only caught it after they requested access. Even though I very quickly grabbed it, they still had like a version control issue where they were looking at the wrong version I had sent over. and I don't even know how that happened, which was really frustrating because I'm trying to be very, very methodical and like detail oriented. I thought I had the right document. I thought I sent that over to them under the hood. Somehow it wasn't. So they had to actually call me and like, we can't totally agree to all these terms. I'm like, what are you talking about? This isn't even the right. Oh, that was like from the first version that Claude generated.
Oh, wow. Why did that even get sent to them?
It's like the way the UI was done and the way that like Claude was interacting with Google Drive was really strange.
Yeah.
So it all appeared to be that I was sending the correct document, but under the hood I sent the wrong, because it was showing me a different preview than like what the URL button was to share.
Those are those wonky things, right? Like I for sure have had it send links and then they're like, hey, this link doesn't work. And I'm like, God damn it. But it's like it's a link to like an invoice that's in the invoice link is legit, but the invoice link it sent like wasn't. Like when I sent you guys the assessments, which I know you said you kind of wanted to talk about, I finished mine and I already had to analyze it.
Okay, cool.
Like Glenn's wife, it called her like Amber. And then after it already sent the email, it like literally like was like sent. I don't know why I called Glenn's wife Amber. I don't actually know her name. And I was like, son of a bitch. Like, why did you send this damn email then? And so, or even like you were saying, like with the email that is sent to you, which is not actually its fault. It's just it doesn't have the context, right? Because we haven't had conversations that have been recorded for it to have that updated context of Frontier versus ErectOS. And so
and then it also had the wrong name from Mateys, which is spelled differently.
And that's right.
And I knew that was because whenever I've talked to like use my voice to dictate
Whisper
or do whatever,
stuff,
it picks up that version of it, and it's like, oh, I had to add that specifically for mine. So
that's like my name. I can always tell when people do talk to text because it says, "Hey Karen." And I was like, God damn it.
I'm calling you Karen from now on.
Right, bro. It's like it never freaking fails, bro.
That is hilarious. And I mean, it's funny because like a lot of these things aren't really inherently a problem with the technology. They're actually really a problem with like the systems that these are in. I was reading a research paper about like the perceived and like actual value that AI can bring inside of a company versus the realized value of it. So like perceived value or perceived competency might be like something 91 to 95%, but then the realized value maybe sometimes falls around 30% or less, because we're in this really interesting transition now between those old systems. For example, like, you might go through something, you need to auth yourself into it, two-factor authentication, pull your phone out, like that's interrupting the agent flow. And there's a bunch of stuff like around the agent framework that it's just not, the world is currently is wired for the human world, right? Not the agent world. And we're transitioning through that right now. So you have to do, if you're a business owner, you kind of have to do a little bit of your own harnessing now of these agents and building that, your own little system around those things. Because there are ways to catch those things. You just kind of have to like, I don't know, because I'm trying to think about mine, like how would I have corrected my error? Because when I clicked on the link to go to it, it was the exact same looking document at the top, and because it was just a duplicate of it, but I hadn't realized that it was not, I'd have to have like read through everything again.
You would have had to read through everything again.
But not knowing that like it was actually creating multiple versions of the document. So like, I don't know. Because I had a version here. I was like previewing it. I saw it all. Like it looked good. Clicked like share.
You should ask your Claude, how could we fix this for next time?
Oh, I figured that out. Yeah.
What did it say?
It was like, oh yeah, I was using like a different docx skill. Like I should just use the Google Drive skill. So what it was doing was creating a Word document and then uploading it to Google every single time, rather than just using the Google Drive tool to
just update the document.
Yeah. So again, I was using the desktop app, which I don't typically do. I think I probably would have noticed that and had more visibility in that if I was using the terminal.
You're used to looking at the matrix, bro.
I am, yeah. I mean that stuff gets obscured away. It becomes more abstract at the user interface level. It's like it's not meant to see the matrix for most people.
I finally got bold and used the dangerous mode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How did you
I
feel?
forgot what I
What
used.
did you do? What did you-
I followed kind of like what you were saying was like once you kind of have something like where it's built for the most part, like and you're just trying to kind of like fine tune stuff. Like I was using it. So one of the things was one of our clients had booked a session at the studio, but I noticed on her calendar booking it still had the old address. But I
Mm,
know that like my VA had gone through and updated everything. So like I was like, why is it still doing this? And even Claude at first had a hard time. It was like, I don't know, man. Like your address is updated here. And then like I like was like, bro, just go. Like figure it out. And eventually, like without me having to click yes a million times, it finally figured out where it was at. And they got it updated. And then I've been trying to fine tune my agents. Is specifically the one that sends that message to me every morning to let me know about the status of the business.
yeah.
Specifically the accounts receivable report. And
Okay.
so that is always like a lot of yeses and yes, you have permission because it's like trying to pull data and then manage it. And so I turned that I turned that on and was like, dude, just go figure it out.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was so much easier to just to let it run, right? But I would still agree with like your methodology as far as like don't do that until you've reached a point where you're pretty comfortable. Oh hey boo.
Yeah. I would update that recommendation too now. I was just talking to somebody about this week from our community building things. I now use auto mode. In auto mode, so the reason we use dangerously skip permissions in this space for anybody who's not like actively using AI in these terminal mode to see this stuff. I was just making sure, catching up on IG to see. There we go.
Go.
If you're using dangerously skip permissions, so without that mode in, you're constantly being prompted to.
You can get on this. You can be on the live stream, bro. And that's like crawling behind me, so she doesn't be on the.
Yeah, so if you're not using dangerously skip permissions, then you're constantly being prompted to like continue. It's like, do you want to do this command? Do you want to do this command? And like,
Yeah,
it's annoying. Even if you say like accept this always, it feels like it's trusted. That's sort of an issue. But auto mode now allows there's like a classifier of the tool that's being run, and with that, like it'll determine if it is. This is not new. I think it's been out for a couple of weeks now, but it will check to see if that tool is okay to be used, and it will literally deny it. And I've seen it happen where the agent, the classifier would say not to use that method that it was trying to use. It would be too destructive on the code base I'm working on. The agent would say, "Oh, that's actually, that the classifier agent stopped me or the whatever, and which is correct. That was maybe too dangerous. Let me try this other way." And the agent let that through. But then I was also able to like authorize them one time that it asked me, it's like, okay, I need explicit permission to do this thing. And I was like, yeah, okay, it sounds good. So I would probably, which is really nice. You don't have to type that in anymore. If you go to auto mode, and I think the way to enable it on terminal, the way that I got to it was I was just hitting the shift tab, which cycles you through those modes. And then
and it actually shows it this time.
Yeah. And it'll show you the auto mode. Then you say like, okay, so instead of auto accept, it's auto mode and it's in yellow rather than the other colors that are there. So try that out. Because that way it's not like dangerously skipping permissions is just allowing it to run whatever command it's going to do, so it can still mess up. And I've experienced once or twice it's done that, but nothing that was like kind of crazy. This feels a lot more safe to let it run, at least. I feel like 9 times out of 10 I'm still watching the agents run, but yeah.
No, I mean that makes sense.
Try that without the dangerous mode. I think you'll get some good results.
Bet.
On top of that, some interesting things happened this week in the world of Anthropic. Before I actually want to talk to some of the things they dropped their connectors this week, I got a question in. OpenAI had a leak come out that their users had dropped significantly. I can find the
Is this a question?
Yeah, the question is, why did ChatGPT see a drop of 80% of users from 44 million in 2025 to 9 million in 2026? Is this due to competition or is the bubble popping?
Oh,
So
is the bubble popping?
it's the bubble popping. So what ChatGPT did, and this is like the narrative that they're maybe trying to. I did some research on it and like looked at what people's opinions were on the matter of this, and
Mhm.
apparently they're thinking that ChatGPT or OpenAI is trying to spin a narrative that the lower subscription models that they released, which is called ChatGPT Go,
Mhm.
which has ads, and I think it's at like $9 a month versus their $20 a month subscription that you pay for. So then a lot of people went down to the lesser
Ah,
due to the cost savings.
yeah.
And then, I mean, the other aspect of it is that there is more competition these days. A lot of people have been using Claude and switched over to Claude completely. And OpenAI's apparently the math behind what they're projecting is that they even if they covered all of their subscriptions, it's not going to cover all of the compute that's required for what they're taking on.
Okay.
And obviously, like a lot of like circular investing in the AI economy. Where NVIDIA invests in OpenAI, which invests in which invests in Microsoft. It's just I forget the loop chain, the loop that it was. We were part of it at one point, where I was at before. But the question is like, is it a sign of the bubble popping? I think there is no. The technology is there, so oftentimes things don't really pan out. The problem people are having right now is the cost of AI versus the ROI of it. So
Mhm.
Uber just announced that they burned through their entire AI budget
Oh yeah.
4 months in. Like the yearly budget, they're 4 months in. They're like, we need to rethink things because Claude Code that they introduced, it just like ate through their entire yearly budget in 4 months.
That's freaking nuts.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy is Anthropic also announced, what was it? It was a week ago, I think that they had all those problems with the models, and the models had become Opus 4.7
Oh.
worse.
Yeah, it was like burning people's shit because it
So
sucked.
it would like forget things. It was like 3 bugs that they found that were interlinked together, which is
Mhm.
kind of crazy. Now, if you look at like you got a company like Uber who now spent a bunch of money on tokens during that period in which it
Right?
wasn't
And they were
performing.
like, "Hey, we'll give you the equivalent of like your subscription."
Yeah, they reset everybody's limits for the week is what they
Yeah.
did, which was like, okay. I mean, I was
Well,
like a day away.
they gave you the $200 credit too, or we did.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah, we got like they sent a thing that was like, "Hey, and you get like if you claim your $200 credit, then like you get extra usage for the next like month or whatever and whatever."
Interesting. People are getting pissed because we just want stability and they keep messing with things. And it's like you get something that works and then they keep trying to refine it and fix it.
Make
And
it better.
yeah. Yeah. They're both equally trying to reduce the use of the tokens because they also like, have to pay for all that compute and everything on their end. But then, they also are selling tokens. So, yeah. Yeah. But interesting. What do you think? I mean, what do those numbers tell you if you heard that for the first time? That OpenAI is not meeting revenue goals, their subscriptions are falling significantly. What do you think's going on?
Well, I mean, I think the first thing that people think is that everyone went to Claude.
Mhm.
And I will say that I have seen a significant jump in the people that I talk to are like, I use Claude. Um, you know, personally, I also think the secondary piece of that is that people just didn't know how to effectively use it and were like, I'm paying $20 a month for something that I'm really not getting value out of.
Yeah, because that was like they just wanted to pay the minimum, right?
Exactly. They wanted to pay the minimum. All right, Marcus. Peace, bro.
See you out.
Um, and
See you out.
so I think a lot of people, yeah, I mean, like even me, I tell people the stuff that I'm doing, and then they hop on their like free plan or $20 plan, and they're like, "Oh yeah, man, I couldn't do any of that." And I said, "Well, yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm not on a $20 plan, bro."
Yeah.
Could you imagine that if you could do all the things that we do on for $20 a month?
Yeah, I mean, I'm maxing out my agent usage right now at the $200 a month, and I'm currently running two on another platform that we're building. The construction platform is
Yeah.
3 agents dedicated to that, which burned through all of that usage
I'm
this
still
week.
like, how do you got like what is what? I guess it's just crazy. I guess if they're running for hours and hours and hours and hours, it's burning through a lot of stuff. I'm
Yeah, I
not
mean,
doing that, so that makes sense.
writing code. It's like writing a lot of. It's all writing code
It's
stuff,
all writing
right?
code, yeah.
That-
Yeah.
It takes a lot to do that, and then the way that we have to do the testing of it. So once the AI writes the code, then there's like scripts and there's things that it runs to
Oh yeah, because
test
then yeah.
functionality. That process, so Playwright, which we use, uses a lot of tokens. Even the CLI, I have to check to see if we're using the command line interface tool, which they released to lower the token usage. But it's a problem, right? So it's like having to go click on stuff, or like sometimes it takes screenshots and looks at the screenshots and tries to click on something and goes, that didn't click. Let me try this, and just burns a bunch of tokens just to try one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not the only one doing that.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, I have it helped me a lot with like my CRM and with high level and all that. And so a lot of the things that I have it help me with my QuickBooks. I always as a business owner, I need things that aren't necessarily available by API.
Mhm.
Because API is great if you just want to look at the information. And
Mhm.
it's like, no, I want to like make changes or like
Yeah.
do stuff.
Yeah.
And that's
One of the
when a
things,
lot of those APIs don't like, and that's when Playwright comes into handy.
yeah, one of the things I've been showing people is like using Playwright to get access to the data that then you pull down onto your own machine.
Mhm.
So imagine, I know you use Go High Level. I know you have an API to that, but like imagine you didn't or whatever. Like you could go in, have it click on stuff, pull all that data down. For example, or like if you use Salesforce, generate a report, download the report, and what did JC say? Why is Brian on the news channel
Interview camera.
Oh.
Oh yeah, you are.
Because I looked like
Camera isn't working right.
Sorry, talking about token usage. Playwright. What was I saying? Threw me off.
You were saying how you're showing people how to use Playwright to pull the
Right.
data off of the source so that they can then
Yeah.
JC interrupted you.
Yeah, sorry. So pull information like down onto your machine and have it run through that, because that's going to be better than like having the API. I think it's going to run like every time you're going to ask a question about something, it has to go look it up. But if it has the files on its machine, then it's going to search through the files and the code. Like say it's a CSV or PDFs, it can just search through those, or markdown files would be better.
Well, that's a good idea. So like, yeah, if I'm like, hey, I need you to send an email, instead of it trying to look for that email in high level, it could just look through like a CSV file that has my contacts.
Yeah, you just have to make it so that like that stuff, like maybe set up a thing that syncs your data up and down with that. But you would want to have the data on your machine itself for it to look through that. And it's significantly better.
Yeah, I do like the context that I've been getting, like by having like memory files on some of the people that I talk to the most, because it is able to build things based off of those people that like make sense.
Give me an example of something you might do with.
I mean, minus the like context issues with your stuff, but like it knows who you are. It knows what I asked it to make an assessment for you, and it knew what it should do based off of the context of our conversations. Whereas like I asked it to make it for another partner of ours, but it has no context. So it was like, I don't know who this person is. You need to tell me what the nature of your relationship is with them so I can create something that aligns with who they are. Or like I asked it to make it for Chaz, it already had that context. For Glenn, I already had the memory file on those people based off of our conversations.
Yeah, that's interesting. So the assessment that you sent out, obviously sent that to me. I filled it out yesterday.
It said all your answers were 4x, and it was like probably a double click issue or something.
Oh, all of my. Oh, I spammed complete because I was wondering how you were saving it, and it was like putting a new JSON file.
Oh, that's why. Oh, okay, that's why. It was like he submitted his answers 4 separate times.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and it was.
all
It said it
4
was
times.
auto saving. It was auto saving. So if I refreshed the page, because I
It was
typed in
not
one, I was like,
auto-saving.
it did. If I refreshed it,
Oh,
saved.
it
It
did?
would even say at the top, it'd say saved. I was like, okay, cool.
I wonder if it
And
only. I
then
wonder if it auto saved in the current browser, because I tried
only
to
that-
go
no, I
to.
tried a different. Yeah, it didn't work.
I
It
tried
was-
to go
so
on
I
a
was
different
switching
browser
back,
and it
yeah.
was fucking blank. And I was like, oh, thank God I didn't click refresh on this thing.
Yeah. I think it's just to the browser itself. That it would be
Okay.
local storage that it's stored to.
Which is still not bad. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, for that session or whatever. I was like, oh, I'll move to my computer. Then it was like, no, it's not there. Okay. Because I also, when I went to my computer, I wanted to see, like, compare my answers to then I had ChatGPT do one because I was
Oh,
like,
yeah,
it knows me, So I actually had to have it go look at the website and then get all of the information that answer them for me.
Uh-huh.
And it's just like, it's been a bunch of time trying to answer the questions. And I wanted to see like what ChatGPT said versus my answers. My question though is, so, which I think this is why I was thinking it was like interesting to talk about this today, is you sent out unique assessments to each of your partners. And mine was like asking me questions that seemed relevant to our discussions. So then you have 4 or so, let's say, unique assessments out there. Typically, using this methodology, you would have one sort of quiz that you would send out to everybody, right? So you'd have like uniformity amongst the answers, to then stack rank things and see where gaps are or whatever. So the fact that you went with 4 unique ones, in a normal era, that would be like really impossible. Like you would have to be hand trying to figure this thing out versus like, these like typical assessment frameworks are. But because of an LLM and because of something like Claude and what you're using, it can do that thinking for you. And especially because, we're not talking about you sent this out to 300 people inside of an organization. You sent this to a handful of people. So context wise, it could probably manage that. We'd have to talk about how this would apply to a much larger, if somebody wanted to do this at a larger company.
Correct.
But I'm curious. We don't have to share it on air. But like, how did you feel? Have you analyzed the results yet? Have you compared them? Like, what did that process yield you?
Yeah, I'll be honest, it was pretty substantial. So so as it stands right now, like you and Chaz have completed it.
Okay.
And so I asked it to, and I'll be honest, I don't know how specific it was to all three, to you guys, like as our like partnership assessments. Based off what you're saying, it sounds like it got somewhat specific based off of our conversation and our partnership. And I say that because when I'm looking at it, it's like Brian, it literally is like Brian versus Chaz, identical instrument partnership assessment. And then it like kind of runs through it, right? And it's like, and then it has a table with like all kind of 3 of our answers on what is important to us. So I can see it like in a matrix, right? And so first it's like top line read. It says, what do we take pride in? So like I've like finishing what I started. Yours says coming up with new ideas. Or at least that's how you answered it. It says at my best, I'm good at organizing chaos, leading from the front. Yours is innovating and adapting, and Chaz's is systemizing and replicating. Which makes sense because one of the things that Chaz always says is rip off and repeat, or rip off and duplicate, whatever, right? Conflict, I'm energized by productive conflict. You're drained by conflict in general. At least that's how you answered it.
I did, yeah. And then ChatGPT, I remember specifically on that one, flipped it on what it thought that I was like with productive conflict. What I thought was interesting, the thing, you present a lot of scenarios where my general opinion of like these kinds of surveys is that you know, it's I don't know. It is what it is. But like I could argue either
You're
for a lot.
not hurting my feelings. I said the same thing. I was like, the scenarios are very interesting.
Yeah. No, that's kind of like as I was looking like, what do I answer here? And I don't know, just kind of picking things out. But then it was interesting to see how ChatGPT, then knowing me, like filled in things. And it's also like what my perception of what the questions were answering versus what its perceptions of the questions were answering. And obviously, because it was doing it all in one context window, and I was, kind of doing it while I had a TV on and was like also answering other like messages that were coming through. So starting and stopping and because of the interface, like I'm scrolling through a very long thing, I felt like ChatGPT was able to piece a lot of those questions together and like understand a narrative of like what it was trying to achieve over the full document. But I was step by step, so I didn't know what the overarching like thing was. So I thought like when I read ChatGPT, I was like, oh, I guess that probably meant more like that. That actually does make more sense if I looked at it as a whole rather than the individual.
Well, see, and I kind of like that because I kind of like that you weren't able to figure it out because as well, well no, and I say that because me and Chaz talked about this, right? It's because like we're heavy in the leadership development coaching space, and one of the things we've talked about is we know how to manipulate a lot of these assessments because we've taken so many of them, and they usually follow like a certain path, right? So the fact that you're like, I didn't really know where this was leading me is good in my eyes because I'm like, okay, that means you're like, you're not unknowingly or knowingly kind of manipulating the answers as they go because you're like, I don't even know what the hell's going on right now.
Yeah, no, I can see that perspective. I can also see like that could lead to miscommunication. So I like seeing both. I actually like seeing like an answer from one that thinks it knows me is like pretending I answered stuff in there. And it was like, oh, that makes more sense. And actually that's why when I sent you things, I was like, oh, and here's ChatGPT's version. I think the answer is like somewhere in between, right? Because I was also just like piecing together things that you and I have talked about at the same time, like trying to put together what were possibly the questions asking. On top of that, also trying to game I knew that you were going to ask Claude to do the assessment. So I was also thinking about how is Cam's Claude going to reflect these answers back to him, which ChatGPT was not considering in its answers, like my assumption was like, there's about a 50% chance that you actually read my answers, 100% chance that Claude is going to read them. All right, JC has a question here. He said, do you think GitHub is the most safe tech company apart from Fortunate, I think he means Fortune, 10 companies like Google, Claude, etc.? And do you think GitHub will reach the top 10 tech companies with everyone starting their projects, etc.? So GitHub is owned by Microsoft now.
They are.
It's one of the things that I thought was brilliant. So Microsoft's also investor into OpenAI, and I thought that was, I was in 2020, we're in 6 now, 2023. I remember when a lot of that was happening, thinking that is such an unfair advantage in the space. It's probably going to mean that having a Mac is going to be a disadvantage because Microsoft, like Apple, does not have access to like all of this code that people have written, to train models on. And, also being an investor in OpenAI itself, like it felt like an unfair advantage that actually honestly doesn't seem to have really materialized a bit. And I could be completely wrong about that, but like Claude has obviously been able to keep up. I mean, Apple's not really part of the conversation in AI, just inherently in how they want to operate things because they want privacy first, and they're just I don't know if anybody knows this or have tried this, but you can actually connect your ChatGPT account to Siri, and if you ask a question and Siri doesn't know it, it'll go to ChatGPT, which is interesting sometimes for the trivial questions you ask that it has to like do that. JC says Google invests in Claude. Yeah, it's all circular funding. I mean, Microsoft also invested in Apple at one point as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And being invested in doesn't necessarily mean that you get like directly to have the data
direct control. Yeah.
But and like Google coming out, a lot of people are really worried about feeding their data through Gemini or through whatever LLM that's out there. And Google's an interesting one because like everybody's got a Gmail, and so a lot of your like accounts are sitting on Google servers. That also feels like an unfair advantage. I was talking about this last night on one of the calls. Was like frontier data being a differentiator, and like Apple does not have. Well, they have Apple accounts, but like Gmail. OpenAI doesn't have everybody's Gmail, although everybody's now connecting their Gmails into OpenAI, so they'll maybe get there.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, you trusting them with your Gmail account, and obviously with enterprise clients and those things, you can. Actually, I'm not sure if you can run it on your own server, but yeah, you trust Google Drive. People like send me Google Drive, but they're like, don't use Gemini. You know, they already have that data, man. It's already
so question for you. I was talking to, since we're kind of on this subject. So first of all, also real quick, I did ask my Claude, and you and Chaz had 90 different questions out of 132.
What do you mean?
You guys had 90 unique questions to each of you out of 132 questions that I asked you.
Okay,
or sorry, 122 questions.
122 questions with it. Sorry.
122 total questions.
Yeah.
90 were unique to you.
Yeah. Okay.
So that answers that. So second thing I was gonna say is I was talking to someone earlier, and they were just saying like, oh, like my work's like kicking my ass, and I was like, okay, and I was like, well, one of these days you need to let me like come over and show you how like your AI can help you do it. And they're a nonprofit work, and they're like, oh, well, it can't really help me because like I can't feed any client information into AI because they're worried about it, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, there's a way to have it work with you. We just got to figure it out, right? Like, especially if you're using like local stuff, you can keep a lot of that shit local.
Yeah, you can definitely install local models. I have local models installed on my MacBook here. I have a more powerful PC that I also have local models installed on. They're not going to be like, these ones are not going to be Claude level intelligence. You could
not even necessarily local model, but I'm saying like the memory files and stuff like that. Like, like I think they're worried that everything's just going up there. And I'm like, you can have a lot of that stuff saved locally on the memory files.
Yeah, but if the data is
going up and down,
if it's going through the LLM, it's there.
But you can sanitize that stuff.
You can remove the PII and stuff, which that's a good way of doing it. There's also you can spin up like local models on data centers and stuff, like obviously like what CoreWeave offered worked. Like, at that point, it's not going to an LLM provider. It's obviously going to go sit on some server somewhere, but like your data sits on servers somewhere,
exactly.
That's the part I think this is when, earlier in the show, talking about how the realized ROI on things. One of the problems is these regulations that they just haven't figured out the regulations yet. So even though a model might be incredibly good at doing law, there's some regulations now that prevent an LLM from touching, any sort of like law files, legal files.
Yeah. Well, that's also because it's like now they've said like if you feed something into an LLM, like it's technically admissible, like in court.
Because you
put it. Yeah. Like I think there was something that said like because you're putting it into a public thing, and it's going out, that they consider it like they could technically I forgot the word is, but they can ask the company to give up like your AI usage.
Like I can look at your ChatGPT
a subpoena.
Correct. For your history. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same as like a Google search.
Correct. Right? Same thing. Yeah.
That's
your text messages.
Yeah, for sure.
Phone records.
Anything really digital there that captures it. But yeah, I mean, and so it really depends. And I think just having to do some research on like what and where you feel comfortable with these LMs doing stuff. We're also in a world where a lot of people are just like doing it, even though they're at these companies, and we were given explicit instructions of like which LLMs we definitely should not be using, anything on foreign soil, such, so that was like off limits to us. But
I mean, I
obviously
will
being-
tell you, the Department of Defense use LLMs.
yeah, but those are also provisioned on their own servers.
Are those their own servers? Is that what it is?
Yeah, and their own models to some. It depends on the deal, I'm sure, but like they have their own specific models for the defense as well that are trained on certain things, and yeah, at least that's what's come out, because we learned about all that stuff because of the Pentagon's beef with Anthropic, and
correct.
Yeah, but I mean that's I don't know, we as a society kind of have to figure this stuff out. Like I said, all our data is sitting on servers. We also know that Mythos just came out, and
is it out now?
No, not the public yet.
like out.
They've given it to a bunch of people to use, like who own and maintain software, so that they can fix problems in their stuff. So they're trying to give everybody some time before they launch it. And I've talked to some people who've had access to it, and they've really enjoyed it. This is pretty crazy, because remember, all they try to do is get it to be. These are guys that provide code, so they want to be the best at like providing code. As a side effect of being good at writing code, it can also be good at cyber warfare, because that's all done with code, and
can also be good at breaking code.
Exactly. and penetration and all of that kind of stuff. And
whoa, take me on a date
real
first, Brian.
It's close. I mean, it's gonna be crazy, because like security is gonna be hacked like everywhere pretty soon. Not to mention, now you've got these like LLMs that are like speed demoning towards being really good at cyber. You've also got quantum online, which will essentially, I was again talking about this yesterday with somebody else. They were concerned about like quantum being able to unlock all the passwords out there, and it's like there's going to be a day you wake up that like all data, all passwords are no longer valuable anymore, because everything can be unlocked. And because of that, there's been people out there who've just been pulling data off the web, off of any like communication channels, even though it's like completely encrypted, and they're just stashing it, and they're just waiting until they can just unlock it all and break the encryption on all the data, and just kind of, just like basically putting your net in the ocean and seeing what you come up with is kind of their.
Oh, they're like stashing shit that they want access to, but is like locked.
They don't even know what it is. They're just like, this is all this like security.
They're just like, I'm just gonna download this stuff.
Yeah, just put it all here. You just give me everything, and at some point, I'm gonna be able to unlock all this stuff, and I'll figure out what I figure out at that point.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's the world we live in. It's a side effect of everything being connected and online, especially in this era. I don't know. I mean, that's your bank account information being hacked is like, yeah, you might lose some sleep over that at night, but like think about the like nuclear codes or like any of those systems that are out there. Like, it's probably worse.
Right. I think I think the $700 you have in your bank account is not as bad as nuclear codes.
Yeah. Anyway, back to what business and AI do. We won't worry about that. Don't like that way. Yeah. I have a question. So last night, somebody joined our call. So we have an ongoing like Discord call that we're always on, usually most evenings. Somebody joined in, college student, was like, "What do I do? Like, what do you think I should do? What can I do that's a 10-year long like?"
like education wise.
Yeah. What should my degree be in? And I was like, I honestly could not tell. I'm so sorry. And he's being pressured. I mean, he comes from a family of everybody's got PhDs, grandparents, parents, and so they're very much focused on education, value education. I've had a long discussion about all the stuff that you benefit from being in college that isn't the education. But what do you like? His question is like, is it worth the student debt that you take on right now, like today? If you were literally today looking at like,
no. I literally tell my kids that.
Yeah.
Straight up. I'm telling my kids, I'd be like, hey man, I'm gonna tell you right now, like, well, and it's different though, because here's the difference though too, is that my kids can go to school for free because I'm a veteran. So even with the presumably no debt that they would incur going to school. I'm like, you guys will potentially put yourself at a disadvantage because while everybody else is out there learning this stuff,
Hmm.
you're in school learning outdated information.
Yeah.
Like there's literally no way based off the way that the current education system is structured. There's
Mhm.
no way for the education system to keep up
Yeah.
with the information even if they wanted to because
Yeah.
of the way that they, textbooks and approvals and all that type of crap, right? Like, the things that happen today wouldn't be taught for another 4 years and then at that point they're obsolete.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, go to school like for my kids for example, like you could go to school, get the stipend, create relationships and all that,
Yeah.
but don't bank on that information that you're being taught unless of course you're like a doctor or something like that, right? Like I hate to say that, but it's just it is what it is. Like as it
Yeah.
stands right now, it's
Yeah. You see,
but
I
it's like
posted a meme the other day that was like your doctor right now is passing his medical exams through Chat GPT. Like, time to start eating healthy.
oh, I didn't see that, but that's a super good point though. Like
Yeah.
for real, like yeah, like the in retrospect, the doctors that we have right now are probably gonna like the cream of the crop because they actually had to study all that crap, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so Net was saying it today. She was like, she had got approved to not go back to work in June, and she was kind of like, oh, no way. And then like today, they were like, nope, you're still not ready. And she's like, oh, maybe they did know what they were talking about. And I was like, well, yeah, fool.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
no, I
I
mean, yeah,
mean,
I mean, that's the thing is like, what do you, even right now, I'm like, I don't even know what to tell people to I've been asked that same question. It's like, what certification should I mean, my boss right now asked me, he's like, hey, I got this, I got this, I got this. What else can I get? And I said, fucking nothing, bro. You better learn how to like turn yourself into a 10x
yeah.
executor
Yeah.
because otherwise an organization doesn't need to hire another HR manager.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I raise a lot of the same points that you're raising is like, the relationships you get out of college are there. But one of the answers that I have heard, which I like, is it's the rise of people who kind of are jack of all trades a little bit, or who are like neurodivergent and see things differently. I mean,
It's
it's
fucking our time, baby.
finally,
Finally.
it's worth it. No, but really, I mean, I see people who like have strong ADHD, who at least say they do, and they're running like, you can look at the screen, there's like 20 Claude sessions going, and they're just able to bounce around through it and thriving right now. And if you can connect, exactly, you can connect with stuff that like, I mean, for my career, I'm full stack developer and designer, and like I understand that stuff that designers who are starting to code don't know, and coders who are starting to design don't know some things, and that's pretty evident. How long that takes until we actually had this theoretical conversation yesterday too. Is like, well, won't the LLMs just get better at it? But it's like there's certain things that are just like subjective, that there's no like objective truth to. So like, how do you build an app? There's a lot of different ways to do it, and there's philosophies behind certain approaches.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to like tell the LLM what you want, or like design. There's no objective truth to design. So if you're good at those and you can produce things there, then you'll thrive right now. And like, to connect the dots across disciplines, that other people can't, which is also another value in school. Like with universities, one of the large values is that you get people from all these disciplines intermingling together and like talking about stuff. And if you're one of those people that kind of have, all that kind of crisscrossing in your brain yourself, then you're going to thrive for sure. Have you found it helped you out with like, because you're obviously technical, and then got a lot of interest in like how is that these last couple of months that you've been working with Claude, like how has that changed your approach, your velocity? Do you feel like it's faster, better? Do you feel like you are, because some people complain that like now they're doing so many things that the cognitive overload is really high, or do you feel like you're unconstrained?
Oh, I love it. I mean, especially and I think a piece of it is like me personally, I think there's two big unlocks that have helped me a lot, right? One of them is I got a dedicated computer that can stay online 24/7. That's a big unlock for me because I'm moving so much, like, and not to mention all like most of the stuff, 90% of what I do, I just do off of this one computer. So all the information is there rather than me jumping from computer to computer to computer. But with that being said, to JC's point, like GitHub has been a huge thing as well because now not only can I keep my machines up to date, I can Claude Code on my app now. And I can, so funny enough, I'm now like mainly in my Claude Code app on my phone or like that
Mhm.
section because it can
Mhm.
pull the context from the other conversations that I'm having, which is, in retrospect, like it makes you so much more effective, right? And then I can start something, on my app, Claude Code app, that I can finish at home because it's all within the Git. And,
Yeah.
it's all there.
So, but you're not like, because you're using Claude Code, if I remember correctly, is like storing like your markdown files and storing like things like that are staying into sync, or is it actual like code and stuff that you're syncing back and forth, or what is it that you're storing in GitHub?
I mean, probably not code yet. It's not code yet.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
one of the things that we've started to do, like me and Chaz, is mainly Chaz, but I'm starting to like, hey, like we need to kind of like what you guys do, where you guys work on different parts of like a coding project together and bring it all together.
Mhm.
Chaz and I are starting to kind of work on that, but a lot of mine is, because I'm running a business every day, like, so it's like sending contracts, analyzing relationships with my clients, giving me pricing strategy,
Mhm.
I think like I was telling you is like I had to analyze conversations that I've had with somebody and was like, what would be the best way for me to sell this client?
Mhm.
Granted, I mean I'm already good at that, but it's great to have something that can take all that context, evaluate it, and then offer me another viewpoint or and things like that, right? So I'm
Yeah.
using it. I'm using it really to like streamline relationships, streamline operations, identify potential gaps that I'm not seeing. Um, but I also use it as like it's also a really good accountability tool because Claude takes the human element out of it. So when you ask it, you might be thinking something's a good idea, but if you ask it, what do you think about this? It's going to look at it objectively and it'll say, hey, I mean, it's told me, it's like, hey, I get why you want to do this, but it doesn't make sense.
Mm.
And for it to make sense, this is what has to happen. And if the person can't do this, then it's not your responsibility to do that.
Mm. Yeah.
And as someone who, I'll be honest, I don't have a lot of people that I can have those types of conversations with. Because there's not, because I'll be honest, there's not a lot of people I look up to right now in my current. I'm just being real. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have peers that I have great relationships with, right? But like mentor wise, there's very select people that I'm going to go to and say, I want your opinion.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, and not to mention, they don't have all the context. So then if I want their opinion, I have to give them all the context, or else, let's just be real, you can't always take an opinion seriously because they don't have all the information, right? So
Yeah.
now I have something that I can communicate with that has a level of context that isn't normal for someone, but also an objective, non-emotional point of view.
Yeah. And I think it's actually sometimes nice because I wouldn't rule people out of the conversation. Like I would still have
100%.
those
Oh,
conversations
100%.
as well. But it's nice to have, even if you're talking to an LLM or something that doesn't have all the full context. So sometimes I'll move to like an LLM that I don't normally use to have a conversation because like I want a more of an objective, like just without maybe some muddled stuff underneath there. And I'm trying to think of an example. But like there might be a context or something I'm working under that I know that's in the memory and it's going to skew its answer on it. And I want a more
Yeah.
objective, like, if I was just met you in a bar, you don't know anything about me. So I think there's value to both of those, but it is really nice that you can have a conversation with something that, like I was going back and forth with the project recently with somebody who didn't really see eye to eye on how I wanted to put together the business, but didn't also understand like the
Yeah.
reasons why I was doing certain things a certain way, and I was using Claude Code to kind of go back and forth. And what I was I actually really liked is that it was, because Claude Code does not have my, context of it. It just knows like working in a code base, but there's nothing about like what I'm doing in there. And I was just using it to like review contracts and stuff, and I was putting back stuff. And the things that it was saying were exactly what I was saying, which also just kind of reinforced me. It was a really complicated subject matter that I was dealing with, and I was like, okay, good. It made me feel more confident about my thing, because even if someone's pushing back who's also pretty well versed or seems so, am I wrong on this? But it's like, oh, this is, I was saying this right, and it is this way. And that was before I had the LLM like reinforcing that to me. So
yeah,
I don't know. I think both ways. It's interesting. A lot of context, no contexts. Use, try to get as much of a second opinion. Also, getting like LLMs to talk to each other if you are, trying one or the other. Like I do think like going from, say, Claude tells you something and dropping that into Gemini or something gives you a counterpunch to that thinking. It's good like second opinion on stuff, especially, and I'm not trivial things, but anything that's like super important that you really care about. Like maybe it's like business entity formation, and you're doing something and you want to run this past Claude to be like, am I Claude first, and kind of get your strategy in place, and then talk to Gemini and be like, is this the right approach, and whatever. And then if you can, talking to a lawyer to help you draft all that kind of stuff, that would be a helpful way of going about it. But yeah, that's so what I was going to kind of think about that with your approach to Git was really interesting, because you're not storing code, but you're storing knowledge, and you're storing things in there, which is actually a really good use of like some of the pre-existing tools that are out there that you can use these things. And there's probably several more that you can start tapping into. And I know we're running close to our hour here, and we didn't get a chance to talk about any stuff that Anthropic dropped this week, which included like connectors to like Blender and connectors into
next week when we're, because we'll be in the studio next week. I will, because I already started kind of doing that. I was going to talk about that today, but actually I'll save that till next week. But using Claude to talk to, or Gemini to talk to like Nano Banana and create virtual backgrounds, but talk about once again, talk about how there's still a human element to using these things, which I'll write down a note to talk about that next week, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, a lot of cool stuff. Like I said, creatively, and maybe we can talk about that even for your studio, because you can go outside of Nano Banana now. You can go into Blender very easily and create 3D scenes.
Correct. Yeah. Well, where you run into like. Yeah, we'll talk about it next week. Take some notes. Take some notes. Cool. But cool. With that being said, so two things, guys, before we hop off. One, Wednesday is going to be our standard day. Weekly, we will be in the studio, and by week, or so 1 week we'll be in studio. Next week will be virtual until my kids are out of school, because gas is expensive, y'all, and I'm not driving back and forth to Vacaville. Two, so share it with your people. Two, is it scallywag.fm? Scallywag.fm is the website you guys can go to, where you can ask your questions, and we will answer them on air and talk about them. So if there's things you guys want to know, you gotta ask. That's the best way, because then we can also gather a little bit of information for it. If you guys ask in real time, we can only give you so much, because if it requires us to open stuff or something like that, like we can't always do that, because for the sake of time. So, but we look forward to you guys seeing more. We'll be better at promoting this. That's mainly on me. So sorry. Today we promoted 8 hours early. So that was good. Now we just got to get to like 48 hours and so forth. But we're here for you guys. More to come on us doing some live sessions out at the studio in Napa. And that's all I got, man. What you got closing remarks?
Yeah, Godspeed. Good luck out there. If you guys have any questions, obviously hit us up on scallywag.fm and we'll answer them. And if you are ever interested in joining our community, we're in a Discord server and we have a group chat that come and talk about AI, learn about stuff. Premise is you just be using it actively. I try to get everybody in there as real builders as much as we can. So Let's go
For
with it.
sure. All right, you guys, stay fresh.